novinha, safadinha, safadinha. Então vem cá mamar, que eu sei que tu é galinha. Então vem cá mamar, vem cá mamar, vem cá mamar.
Issei now heads home. As he heads home, he feels a lot more proud of himself. He feels stronger. Within this time, he managed to also harness his sacred gear even more, and he made his sacred gear like he got a lot better at using his sacred gear, and he knows that for the betterment of himself, he's not gonna do the perverted stuff like he used to do all the time because that is probably what messed him up in the first place. He said. But anyway, so Issei arrives back. Nobody can recognize him, and when he comes home, his parents are surprised that he's alive and all that. And with the power of his magic, because Issei, while he was like I said in the part one, he harnessed his magic a lot more, and he got a lot better at using all of his magic and stuff like that. So of course, he then just makes his parents and like everybody around him forget about everything that's happened. Because remember, as we saw in the first three episodes and probably first volume of DxD, we saw that Issei and them forgot everything else as far as like everybody that's a human or something like that forgot every single thing that happened like with the human situation. But anyway, so this is so as all of this is going on, Issei just gets stronger. Issei gets stronger and stronger. He gets and like I said, he continues his training when he gets home because he didn't because when he got back they was over like spring break or something like that. So he was just training and honing his skills by himself out in the woods. And he actually generally like he left but he left like society so he could train and train his survival skills, get a lot better at that. As far as he used his fire style to cook his meals, to cook for his meals and fish and all of the stuff that he caught. And eventually, the break is over. He comes back, and mind you, Issei's like I got that Madara build now. Like he completely looks like Madara now. Like except he just doesn't look as old as Madara. Even though Madara died young, he doesn't look as old as Madara. So he still looks like I said, he still has his greenish yellowish eyes. That hasn't changed about him. It's just that he let his hair flow. He didn't cut it anymore. As he naturally looks a lot different. So when he goes back into the walks back to the club room, Reese is surprised and she obviously tells him this is only for club members. You're not allowed to come here. He says and says boosted gear. And this is when they see that it's Issei. Rio's like, oh my god, Issei. I forgot all about you. How are you? And this is when he's like, I'm fine. And he like speaks in a much darker tone. He says he's fine. He's doing okay. And this is when Kai then walks out from the shower and he's like, who are you, boy? Oh, you're the red dragon. Not impressive. Well, just say psych now. This is when Issei he just doesn't care no more. He just keeps his cool and he says that he's ready to do a contract. As this is when she tells him where the address is. He says he can use a magic circle. He doesn't need that. Surprisingly is that he's gotten strong enough to where he could do that because she doesn't know that he's been stuck in the underworld. But then of course Rias asks him why did he just let his hair go? And he said it just doesn't matter. He said it doesn't matter now and he says he likes his new hair. So, of course, Issei handles the contract pretty easily, and he just starts stacking them up. And he just starts stacking up the contracts, and him and Kiba actually become better friends. Like, um, Issei end up actually asking Kiba to make him a custom sword. Now he's not gonna have the chains or the bangai. I believe that's what it's called. It's been so long since I watched Naruto, y'all. He doesn't have the bomb guy either. He's just gonna have a regular sword. He's gonna find the Bandai soon. Probably around like at the end of season 2. That's probably when he's gonna find the Bandai. And that's when he's gonna like you know. Anyway, but yeah, he's getting better. He still hasn't accessed his balance breaker because he hasn't had that emotional push yet. He needed. So he's just really good at using his boosted gear now. And besides that, he even starts training with Kiba, and his swordsmanship increases by a lot. And eventually, they still do have a meeting at Issei's house, just like they normally would in canon. And Issei, you know, it's just Issei's mom's still embarrassing with all the pictures. But mind you, Kai is there, so like all the original attention that Issei was getting is like kind of nullified because they're still just gushing about Kai and how cool and strong he is compared to Issei. And of course, Kiba then asked about that sword. Now, Issei during his time spent in the underworld by himself, he didn't just train and get overpowered. Well, he's not overpowered yet, but he didn't just train. He also learned a lot of new skills. He got better at he got better at he got better at he got he got more knowledgeable. That's the best way to explain it. He got a lot more knowledgeable than he was before, as he's actually like really knowledgeable on devil culture and like understanding the three great factions. So when it comes to his knowledge, he's getting up there with how smart Azazel is, but like nowhere near Azazel's level in intelligence. But he's getting up there. So of course, this then leads into Kiba far as kind of having a bit of a crash out moment. So yeah, he's gonna have a bit of a crash out moment, and he walks off, and eventually they have to do like a group contract where like there's been sights of like a stray devil. So everybody goes and because like Konako and Issei still go together like they normally would. As they get there, they then see also Konako is probably the only character who just doesn't care about Kai because Konako has never like really been that way towards anybody. And like Ganon and like I can't really see her character doing all that. Azia, Akano, and Riz, I can see their character drastically changing because of him. Not less. So like I said, that doesn't so that's cool, but like I'm not changing Konako's character. Konako is Konako. But besides all of that, this leads into like, Kiba messing up, him not caring, Reese slapping him, Kai like calm down, babe. It's just your night. And then, she's like, yeah, it's probably so. And Issa still tries to go talk to Kiba. Kiba being in his emo phase right now, he's like, I don't want to talk to nobody. As he just walks off, runs with the free like he normally would, as this would lead into Issei going against Rios' words, as this is when he goes, oh, wait, no, he hasn't gone out, my dumb self. No, okay, so this leads into the entire Zenovia, Zenovia, and Aaron situation. So the two priests arrive at Issei's house when Rios is out. Rios not being like her usual self towards Issei, she still senses what's going on. She still goes home. Still gives Issei and Ozzy a hug for being okay. As we learned, it's just Ira Nishido and Ozzy are, I said Ozzy Lord, Zenobia Accord. So, and Ira was, of course, that kid in the picture that Issei has showed everybody, as this is one of his old friends that that he thought was a boy. But then he did think it was kind of weird when he saw Irina in a dress, but I guess he just thought that the kid had went gay at that young of an age. So this then leads into the next day. The priests arrive at the door. They walk in and they begin to talk with Rios about staying out because as Zenobia puts it, the devils get in. They're actually going to join the side of the fallen angels because the fallen angels are evil like the devils, are corrupted just like the devils. Reese then speaks that why would we join the side of the fallen angels because that could end to its own mini war, she said. And Reese's eyes start to gain fire. Kaizen Kaizen begins to speak about Kai begins to speak about telling Reese to calm down. He's like, calm down, babe. It's not even worth it. So this then leads into um Zenobia and Aaron are gonna walk out, and then Aaron is like, "Do you still believe in God?" And Ozzy's like, "Yeah," and then Zenobia's like, "Then you'll let me take your head if you still believe in God." In the name of God, she says, um, God, I do not mean anything I'm saying. This is from a TV show. Amen. But anyway, this leads into Issei appearing like right in front of her, like with his own sword blocking hers from attacking Ozzy before anybody could see. As Issei's eyes then turn into the three Tomoe Shrine gun, as he's like, "Don't you dare touch my sister." Because Issei knows that he no longer has a chance with her in his harem. Because Issei, it's still Issei. He still wants a harem, but he's just a much different person now. He just doesn't want it to be the harem king, but he still wants to have multiple women. Because Issei, after all, I'm not changing. I'm not trying to change his character completely, not as a pervert as he was and can. So of course he blocks him, and then nobody's like, "So you want to fight, devil boy?" And this is when he looks at her saying, "You're on." And this is when Kiba says, "I want to join in on this action too." And this time the matches are still the same. It's still Irina versus Issei, and so yeah, so Irina, she like, oh, she says her dramaticness. "Oh, my old friend Issei, it must be fate that we are brought back together, but now I'll slay you with my blade." Issei just spits blood out of his mouth to look badass. So as he says, "Irina, I really don't want to fight you. You were one of my best friends." As this is when he picks up his sword, as he holds it out, as he says, "Boosted gear." As this is when his boosted gear appears on his hand, on his dominant hand. As this is when him and Irina rush at each other at pretty fast speeds. As Reese is surprised that Issei is young as he is, and he's not using anything perverted, which surprises Karnika the most. She noticed how much of a different person he is than he was when last time they saw him. So of course, Issei then says fire style, fireball jutsu. Irina hops out the way. Issei appears above her using body flicker. As this is when he kind of pulls a WWE move on her as he uses his elbow, as he knocks her with his elbow like straight. He knocks her straight in her spine down to the ground. As this is when he then puts a sword at her back, as he says, "Give up." And of course, after that, as quickly as he defeated her, she gets up, and she gets up. So this then leads into us seeing Kiba and Zenobia fighting, and of course Kiba still pulls out the double destruction sword. As he mentions, let's see how both of these destructive swords match each other, but I said Irina, Lord, Zenobia slash. Because explains that you have incredible speed when you're dealing with a one or two-handed weapon, but once you, oh well, no, my bad, you have incredible speed when you're dealing with a one-handed weapon or a dual-handed weapon, but as soon as you put up a double-handed weapon, you're kind of butt. She says. Kiba then looks at her with like so much hatred, but like Zenobia being the badass she is, she could care less how he could look at her. So this is when, of course, Issei, he gets appraised by everybody, including Riz, but Kai says that's nothing to compare to what I can do. As he says and says, all right, pretty boy, let's see how strong you really are. So this is when, of course, Issei and Kai have a stare off. Everybody moves out the way. Issei then says, "Let's see, so you're the one that everybody just loves to glaze." And this is when Kai then says, "You have a lot of mouth on you, boy." This is when Issei says, "Come on, let's go, pretty boy." This is when the two of them rush at each other. Issei throwing a double kick. So the first one would land, he would block the second one. Issei would then do a backflip kick, then saying fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu, sending multiple fireballs at Kai. Kai then puts his hands out and makes up a barrier. This is when he noticed Issei from behind, as this is when Issei then knocks him straight in the back. He elbows him in the back. And this is when Kaizen says, "Enough of this playing, boy." This is when he appears in front of Issei, grabs his face, and slams him through the rubble. As when the smoke clears, we see that this is just an illusion. As Issei then said, he stands up in the tree saying, to be Rias's so-called boyfriend, you're kind of weak. He says. This is when Kai then puts his hands onto the ground, sending out electric all around the fighting area. So he didn't put it nowhere near to where anybody could get hurt. Issei jumps out the tree. He gets like a lot of shocks in him, but he gets right back up. And this is when he then says, "Time to pull out my specialty." He begins to weave hand slides as everybody's like confused, but like they see that maybe it's the type of type of magic that revolves around like him weaving hand signs. Because this is when he speaks up. She says in ancient times they used to she said in the ancient times of ninjas the way they used their magic was through hand signs, and their magic was a lot more potent and stronger through that. And this is when he says it's inspired style, majestic destroyer flame, as he didn't realize how big his fireball was gonna be, as he almost hits his team. As this is when Kaizen puts his hands out and completely absorbs it, and he sends it back twice the strength at Issei, knocking him clean out. As when he gets up, he gets slapped by Riz. That she then mentions how reckless he was to do something like that. Issei just generally looks irritated from hearing all of this, but he understands where Reese and everybody else is coming from. So he smiles and says, "Got it, President." And that will be where we're going to be ending off part two to what he said was Madara's reincarnation. I hope y'all like part two more than part one because honestly, part one to me was kind of lacking. And also, Merry Christmas Eve. I love y'all all. I hope y'all have a good Christmas. And after this, I'm going to start recording part three to What Up Naruto with Data Live. We outside, y'all.